I don't know about you, Nathan, but I'm feeling quite rusty.
So am I. I feel like Tomater.
Well, relevant reference. To be fair, I'm sure there has been a new Cars thing that comes out. They release those shorts all the time.
Oh yeah, there's been a million.
And that's what we're here to talk about today.
Cars, the cinematic universe, the CCU.
Cars, Tomater goes to space, or whatever the newest short is.
No, but we're here. We're back, Kyle. It's been a while.
It's been a while. The last thing we made a podcast about was the Book of Boba Fett, which feels like 500,000 years ago.
The Book of who, Fett?
I know. So he was. You remember it roughly? There was like a guy. He had a bald head. He walked around the town. I mean, we talked about it for about an hour. So what I should have done is, and what I always forget to do before recording these, is go to like a nerd news website and just look at the recent stories. But I never do that. I always forget to do that.
Yes, I mean, I like to think that I'm sort of on top of things, but ultimately, things just go amok the second I hit the big red record button. It's like a memory wipe. I know what to talk about. Deadpool 3.
Yes, that is a recent thing that happened. You're right.
Oh, that is topical and current and doesn't feel like we've missed a step.
Well, I'm sure everyone listening to this already knows, but Wolverine is in Deadpool 3.
The everyone's favourite Australian, Brady Haran.
Exclusive news reveal it right now. Brady Haran is the MCU's Wolverine.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. I'm so happy for him. This is a great opportunity. No, it's not Brady Haran, unfortunately, though we would love it. It is, in fact, the return of the legendary actor who trailblazed the role in 2000, Hugh Jackman.
Yes. And apparently he's going to wear the yellow outfit.
I would love it. I don't think he will.
So I think this is an interesting choice. I mean, I get the feeling that this was always the plan before the Disney merger happened.
So it basically was, from what I'm able to piece together. Ryan Reynolds had said that his plan for Deadpool 3 wanted to do a Deadpool and Wolverine road trip movie.
Yeah, because their relationship is quite a big one in the comics, so it was beyond time.
And from what I'm able to, not from what I'm able to garner, I was rewatching Deadpool 1 and 2 a couple nights ago because of the news, and I was like, it's been a while. So I rewatched them both, and Logan came out between Deadpool 1 and 2. And the opening shot from Deadpool 2 is a little dancing ballerina clock that plays music when you wind it up of Logan dead on a spike. And it says Logan on it. And it's wonderful. So like he was very upset by the death of his friend. And I think probably Ryan Reynolds wasn't expecting that. At least not before he got a chance to make his Deadpool 3. So, or even Deadpool 2 at that point. So now he's like, oh, what do I do? Hugh Jackman said he's too old. He says he's done with the role. But even Patrick should be... honestly, after Patrick Stewart said he was done and then came back for Doctor Strange, I was like, anything's possible. As much as Hugh Jackman's the lead, I think Patrick Stewart, just because of his age, was the one that if he came back, that meant Hugh Jackman was going to probably do anything.
Hugh Jackman's still looking good. He can still pull it off.
He still looks great. He still looks fantastic. He says that he hates the shape he has to get his body into for those topless scenes. I don't think we're going to have any of them for this.
No, that seems unlikely.
Yeah, those paper-thin skin on top of nothing but raging muscle shots.
I mean, I assume the plan still is for Deadpool to hop in a portal and come into the MCU.
Probably.
They're just also Wolverine is tagging along as well.
Probably. Like, he's having a party at the X-Mansion. They get the entire X-Men cast back. Deadpool opens a portal and Wolverine falls through it with him, and that's scene. You get Ian McKellen back for 2 minutes to play Magneto as well. You just get everyone back, and then he falls through a portal throughout the movie.
I can see that happening, and that's basically like the last goodbye of that X-Men universe.
Of that X-Men universe. Is it the first class crew or the OG crew though?
Who knows? Whoever knew.
Whoever they can get. They'll get them both in the same room.
They'll have both young and old Beast
Oh, wonderful.
Just sitting in the same room.
McAvoy and Stewart sitting across from each other. They're like, well, gang, we've fixed the time travel problem, but we're all stuck together now.
And you'll never see us again.
I know they're going to do another X-Men Wolverine Origins Deadpool mouth sewn shut joke. Because I think that they quite enjoy making fun of that now, to the point where like even that joke's kind of getting a bit old. And
I always forget that Ryan Reynolds actually played Deadpool before the Deadpool movies. I always forget. And you've just reminded me of that awful movie.
I done like an X-Men rewatch a while ago, like maybe past couple months, and I stopped after Dark Phoenix, but then I decided I didn't even do Logan as part of the rewatch. So I guess I'm actually technically not done it yet. I just jumped right into Deadpool a couple nights ago. But I watched them all and I was like, I remember liking these films as a kid, and then now I'm seeing like all the problems with them. But then there was some films that I remember seeing that kind of I wasn't big on. That I was like, you know what? I think I only watched this once in the cinema, and it's nice to go back. And by that I mean X-Men Apocalypse wasn't as bad as I remember, but still wasn't great.
I mean, how bad can Oscar Isaac be, you know? Well, yeah, so that's coming out 2024, I think. That's the current news. We've hit our topical news quota. Deadpool can be in the thumbnail now. So here's my list. It's not all-inclusive, it's just everything I could think of all the things we missed. Starting off with a great one, because I haven't actually seen it, The Batman.
Well, what to say about Batman? Shot in my city of life, your city of birth.
As a surprising amount of things are.
Yeah, as a surprising amount of things are. We got good tax rates, let me tell you. You know what I thought of the Batman? Mm-hmm. It was good. To
give it its full name, Robot Bat and Bat.
Robot Bat and Bat, yes. The Batman starring Robert Pattinson was you know what, I went in, I feel really bad, it's not the film's fault, it's my own. I went into the Batman expecting, based on everything I'd seen, an 11 out of 10.
Okay.
And I came out with like an 8.
Which, it's not bad.
An 8 is not bad, but I'm expecting an 11, you know? And I think it's also because with Spider-Man No Way Home, I'd had my 11 out of 10 expectation hype met. I was like, there's no way the Batman won't, forgetting that there's different factors in there. And
we never actually talked about that either, but that was during a time where we could have recorded a podcast about it and just didn't.
We missed the boat on it, yeah.
We missed the boat on that one. Also, I didn't see it when it came out, and I have seen Spider-Man now, and it was pretty good, so there you go.
Well, that lived up to my hype, and this just didn't, which I guess there's other things at play with Spider-Man that was like returning actors and whatnot, whereas the Batman was wholly new. But I think that's what excited me about it. And I came out thinking, that's solid, that's a good movie. But it wasn't what I was expecting it to be. And I don't mean like in terms of the story, I just mean in terms of the quality. Because there was a couple moments I'm like, oh, I don't like that or something.
But you still recommend I should watch it?
I'd still recommend you should watch it. Yeah, there's no way you can avoid a Batman movie, like a tentpole Batman, especially if it's going to be your Batman going forward. Because who knows who Batman is now in the DCEU.
Oh, it's a mess. It's a glorious mess. I think at this point they've just leaned into it being a mess.
Yeah, they're going full X-Men to wrap it back around again.
X-Men.
Yeah, all roads lead back to the X.
Alright, again, I have nothing to add to that one, so we're going to move on. We're in the Star Trek corner now.
Woohoo! Yay!
So, starting with the opposite problem, which is Star Trek Discovery Season 4, because I've seen it and you haven't.
I've seen like 4 episodes. The cold open for episode 1 of season 4 scared me.
Yep, me too.
I was like, oh god. Oh no.
For those that don't know, a planet blows up.
Yeah. A planet does blow up, and I was like, oh my. Okay.
That would have been scary, except no other planets blow up for the rest of the season.
Do they not? Wonderful.
It's not like every episode there's a new planet blowing up. There's a colony on a belt of asteroids that blows up as well, but they're able to evacuate everyone, so it's fine.
It was basically a planet blowing up, but okay.
It was like a prison complex, and they had a whole moral quandary about should they leave the prisoners because there was like a Star Trek episode.
Yes, all right, okay, yes, okay, I can get on board with that. There's a million episodes with prisoners and asteroid belts and Star Trek Voyager.
Like, the government said, oh, we're leaving the prisoners to die because they're prisoners and they don't deserve to live. And Captain Burnham had to be like, no, they're people, they deserve life and all this. And then it turns out that one of them actually was a horrible criminal and he was lying about it. And there was a moral ethical
there's one of those guys in Voyager, and like Neelix is his friend because they're on death row. Yeah. Well, I've seen this episode. Yeah.
All around, this is my roundabout way of saying Discovery Season 4, easily my favourite season of the whole show. Easily. It was the most Star Trek-y by far. Even though it started with the planet blowing up, the rest of the season was pretty good.
Well, I got 1 month free of Paramount Plus via McDonald's Monopoly.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. I know I haven't redeemed it yet, but it doesn't need to be for new customers. I think it can be added on to existing subscriptions. Because Paramount Plus is now a thing here. And I think I'll probably get on that.
I would recommend it. I'm not going to spoil too much. I've already spoiled the prison episodes, but you know.
I mean, I know like the Federation president for some reason felt I need to joyride around on the Discovery.
Yes.
They had like the last bit I watched. I'll tell you where I'm at. Right, there was like a summit where they were bringing like Vulcan back into the Federation, and Vulcan wasn't having any of it. They were like, "No, we want a clause to back out," and they had to work it. Yeah. That's where I got to.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of prequel era politics in the season, which isn't necessarily a bad thing.
No. I enjoy politics. I enjoy a good House of Cards episode.
Starting the Star Trek corner off strong, I liked Discovery Season 4, which is shocking for me because don't like Season 1. Season 2 is a disaster. Season 3 was okay and then failed at the end. But Season 4 started weak but got strong by the end.
Okay, so I have something to look forward to then, okay.
Yes. Unfortunately, next on the list though is Star Trek Picard Season 2.
Oh God, that's... It just makes me sad.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And as people listening to this probably know, while we haven't recorded a podcast on it, my thoughts on Picard Season 2 are well known.
Yes, indeed they are well acknowledged and logged. And I don't know if mine's are to the same extent. I mean, update, I'm still blocked by Star Trek Paramount Plus.
Oh, good. Yep. I mean, I don't think that's going away. Once you're blocked, you're done, I think.
I think so. You need to, like, know someone, don't you?
Did we tell that story on the podcast?
I think we haven't, because I think on the surface of it just immediately sounds like I said something toxic when I didn't.
It does. That's what I was worried about.
Yeah, it sounds like I was like a toxic ass. I wasn't. In case we may have told the story before, but I'll tell it again just because people shouldn't be expected to go back and listen to an episode of it from a year ago. They posted, I think it was when Star Trek Discovery Season 3 came out, or one episode, and it wasn't even necessarily an awful episode, but they posted some like art of the planet Navarre, which for those not in the know, that is Vulcan's new name, and it had these gorgeous moons above it. And all I did, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, all I done was tweet them back with a clip of Leonard Nimoy from an episode of Star Trek the original series saying Vulcan has no moons. And that was it. That for them that was enough.
And in the 900 years since, they built some moons.
They built. It's not that weird. They got some rocks together and put them into space. They launched some.
They were like Vulcan never had any moons, but I think Navarre deserves some moons. Let's drag over some local asteroids and we'll build some moons.
It's a big rebranding. We bring the Romulans back. We change the name. Get some moons up there. It's just like hanging a chandelier. Surely, it's like a redecorating. You get a guy in.
You know what it is? Do you remember in Season 1? Because I actually listened to our podcast of Picard Season 1 fairly recently. Good episode, by the way.
Click the link.
But the Reapers, you remember those Reapers? They created a star system with 11 suns in it. This was like a minor plot point.
Oh, a minor plot point? This was Picard?
Yeah, this was in Star Trek Picard. Remember there's the planet with the ring of electricity on it that makes you go insane and kill yourself?
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah, that was on a planet in a system with 12 suns.
Okay.
And they say at some point, like, oh, we, the ancient race of synthetics or whatever, moved these suns into this system.
I thought the Reapers were from Discovery Season 2, but that was Skynet, wasn't it?
No, that was Control.
Yeah, that was Skynet. That was the Terminator.
That was an unrelated evil android.
That was the Terminator, right? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, sending robots back in time to kill people.
Well, it's far more messy than that. It sent itself back in time and took over the robot head lady's brain.
Yes. So it did. So let's not talk about Discovery Season 2. Sorry, I was just getting my killer robots confused.
Anyway, I was just saying, in the 900 years since, the Vulcans have clearly got that sun-moving technology and applied it to some asteroids to make themselves moons. So you see, it's not a mistake.
It's not. It's all carefully.
And that's why Paramount Plus Star Trek was well within the rights to block you for your rabble-rousing.
For me poking fun at them. To a certain degree, because I have been critical on Twitter, but I don't think historically prior to the blocking I'd ever tagged them in it, so I don't really know why they would have any reason to read it. Though whenever businesses say they don't actually read Twitter, they're lying. They do. And I know for a fact that most of their tweets were them getting bullied from people, and some people were toxic, and yes, they deserve to be blocked, but you know, let me poke fun at you. You know, I'm not being toxic. I'm undermining the work.
Yeah, and honestly, it goes without saying that, like, everything we talk about critically, there's some faction of assholes who have stupid criticisms about diversity and all this, and we're not part of that.
No.
And just take that as granted for everything we talk about.
Yes, indeed.
So yeah, back to Star Trek Picard Season 2, it makes us sad. There was a trailer for Picard Season 3.
That filled me with joy.
It filled me with dread. So we're on very different pages here.
Picard, you know...
Dr. Crusher is running around a starship with a laser gun, so nothing has changed.
She done that in First Contact, though, it's fine.
First Contact, a movie I love, famously.
Yeah, no, it's they bring Robert Picardo back, and you state the nature of the medical emergency in a First Contact style uniform, and he tells the Borg to put on some analgesic cream. I enjoy Crusher with a phaser rifle. It's fine. I've heard, because they're on a spaceship again. They're on the Titan A, like I think it's a Shangri-La class. It's supposed to be inspired from the Constitution. I think the showrunner of Picard Season 3 worked on Voyager, so he's like the first showrunner that's really properly worked on Star Trek before. You know, they're everyone, like, Worf. Worf doesn't look like a horrible space alien monster.
He doesn't, but I do have a nitpick about Worf, which is, why does Worf have grey hair?
Why not?
Because he's a Klingon and they live for hundreds of years. Worf is not that old in Klingon terms.
He had grey hair in the All Good Things.
He had speckles of grey hair.
No,
he didn't have full white hair.
He had long locks of white hair. He had some colour in there, but he had long locks, I'm sure.
I remember him having like some specks of grey hair. Maybe. I don't remember, like, he's like full white hair in that trailer.
Being special advisor to the Chancellor is stressful. Martok is like big Robert Baratheon and likes to go boar hunting, and Worf is freaking out because he's Hand of the King.
Is that still going to be the case though? Because the movies kind of ignored that.
Oh yeah, the movie straight up ignored that. I think the movies after that were Insurrection and Nemesis, and I think Insurrection's like, what are you doing back from DS9? So they clearly didn't know how DS9 was going to end when they filmed it, and then Nemesis just continues on from Insurrection. Yeah, I mean, clearly. I think they will. I actually think they will try and follow up the DS9 ending, because the people who are in charge now, as much as we say they don't listen to canon very much, in certain areas they like to pat themselves on the back because they remembered this one thing, and that just seems like this one thing they'll remember. He was in a Starfleet uniform though in the trailer, so... Yes.
My other question is, we already know Brent Spiner's in the season. They already announced that, right?
Yes.
He's not in the trailer.
No.
So in what capacity do you think that's going to happen? Is he going to show back up as Adam Sung?
I think yes, but he's going to be like, yo, I rebuilt Data.
You're right, because that would completely invalidate the ending of season 1. So of course that's what they'll do.
Picard's still a synth, so like, it's fine. He'll be like, hi, hello, crew of the Enterprise D and E. Hello, TNG cast members.
But he'll have built a more realistic body for Data that looks like present-day Brent
just
Spiner.
It's just a clone of Adamson. It's like, yo, I built Data, and he's like, remember that the death scene we gave him in season 1, where we unplug him, and they play Blue Skies, and it's really gorgeous. Well, we didn't kill him. Here he is. Bring him out. It's like,
it turns out all we did was turn the power off, but the memory card was still perfectly intact, and he's still on it.
Soji standing there with a little confetti cannon. Ta-da!
Well, we already know that, like, most of the season 1 and 2 characters aren't even in this season, other than
Raffi and
7 of 9, for some reason, and Raffi.
Right, okay. What's the bet Will Wheaton comes back?
I hope not.
Oh, God bless. Oh, that's a shame. He's too enthusiastic. He wants it too much, doesn't he?
He does. Like, see, spoiler alert for Picard season 2. See when Wesley shows up at the end? I could not, for the life of me, see that character as Wesley anymore. That was just Will Wheaton really excited to be back on TV.
Yeah. It's like, this isn't the ready room. This is it. This is Star Trek.
And then Star Trek fans annoy me, or modern Star Trek fans annoy me by being like, oh, it's so impactful. They combined 2 disparate elements of Star Trek lore into one. And from the original series and Next Generation, Gary 7 was the same as the Traveler. Is that what he was called?
Yeah.
They were the same thing, even though they clearly weren't. No. And they obviously weren't. Those were two completely different things.
Just a retcon.
And B, it's also stupid and doesn't matter, so...
Well, Kyle, remember when the Vortas had telepathic powers in their first appearance in Star Trek Deep Space Nine Season 3 and then never had it again going forward?
I do remember that.
Like, you know, they just change shit. I don't really care that the Supervisors and the Traveller are connected. I care that Will Wheaton can't fucking keep his enthusiasm in check, but...
No, and then people are like, oh, we should have a Will Wheaton and Soji show. Sorry, not Soji, whatever her character was that was basically just Soji in season 2.
Yeah, it was Brent Spiner's 21st century daughter.
Cora?
I honestly make up a name and I wouldn't be able to tell you were wrong. I cannot remember that character's name.
No, because I made a video about this, and there's a scene where she's like, you named all of your daughters after sons and daughters of Zeus, because you think you're a god.
Jesus, I don't remember. I tell you what I do remember from the end of Star Trek Picard Season 2. Mm-hmm. Project Khan.
I almost wish when he pulled out that folder they played like the musical Sting from Wrath of Khan. Just to really drive it home.
I wish they played one of those Ghost Adventures sharp violin stings that send hairs down the back.
Dun, dun, dun.
Just some little really hair tingly screeching sound. It's like we just saw a door slightly open ajar and a night vision camera, you know. I
love that so much because it's totally like within the universe of Star Trek. Project Khan has already happened.
It did say 1997 on it. It's like an old file.
He's just pulling out that file to like look at it wistfully.
He's looking at it because I think they want to start making the move from. Because obviously in Enterprise, they're like, hey, he used to be interested in augments and then moved to cybernetics after the augment thing failed. And then when they were making Picard Season 2, they were like, he needs to be interested in fucking genetics still, you know? So he's like, right, well, let's keep that going because it's the one family and the sons always seem to...
And every single Sung is a famous scientist. They all look exactly like Brent Spiner.
They're in the family business. What can we say? So, I think it's funny how they done it, but fundamentally, I think they could have done that thing better. Because I can totally believe that he would have looked into Khan's file, you know, to refresh his memory for what he's going to do going forward. Because the thing with his daughter's clearly a dead end now.
Yeah, but they're never going to follow up on that again. So
no. It's just for you to go So that's where I got it.
Anyway, yeah, I have an hour-long video on Star Trek Picard Season 2. We don't have much more to add. At least I don't.
Let's talk about. Let's look at. I tell you what. Let's quickly go through Strange New Worlds and Lower Decks.
Okay, Strange New Worlds, I'm halfway through the season. I'm really enjoying it. I haven't finished it yet. Just because. I don't have a reason.
I have finished Strange New Worlds, and tell you what, I loved it. It was, the characters have good interactions, they're having dinner in the captain's quarters, they're doing quandaries week on week, like, it's just good fun space adventure stuff, and no planets have blown up to my memory. The last episode was wonderful. Some people might say it's just derivative, but I tell you what, it hit me in the right way. Like, and do you know what the last episode is?
No, I don't, and I'd rather not to be spoiled for me.
No, that's fine, I won't say a word. But it was a really good show. I'm looking forward to season 2. They have announced, as we both know, the entrance of Captain James Tiberius Kirk.
Yes.
Whatever. I enjoyed Strange New World season 1 enough that...
They also announced, interestingly, that they're doing a crossover with Lower Decks.
They did announce they were doing, and I'm still not really sure if that's happening in Strange New Worlds live action or if it's happening with them going into animation. I think it's live action.
I'd assume it's live action. Like, the animated characters are kind of based off the real actors, so...
They are, but Jack Quaid went on stage at Star Trek Celebration, the purple wig, and it was just weird. But then again, that
I haven't watched the new season of Lower Decks yet, but I did hear that it's now canon that he dyes his hair purple. That's not just a quirk of the animation.
Yes, yes. I thoroughly enjoy Lower Decks. I remember the first episode of season 1 kind of threw me because I was like, oh no, this is a nightmare. But I got into it, and I really enjoyed it. I think Lower Decks is some superb Star Trek, not in the traditional sense, which to some people might sound like sacrilege, but I think that it does the balancing work of, at the end of the day, it's going to be a comedy. So if you can't make that jump, then that's just the breaking point for you, I guess, in the discussion. But if you can get on board with the fact that finally they kind of try to be funny, because that's what it is, and it's animated, and people, animation does allow you to maybe twist things a little bit. And far,
I'll say I've watched the first 2 seasons of Lower Decks, and I do also enjoy it. So
far, they have done things great. They just had a Deep Space Nine episode where they really played into the tropes of DS9, like with how this opening sequence is just really slow and long, beauty shots of the station's gaudy pylons, and they make fun of it in this show, but like not in a disrespectful way, but like in a we all know kind of way. Like,
they did that in season 1 when they did the movie episodes, and they had this super long shot of the shuttle going around
the Cerritos.
Cerritos.
Yeah. Like, it's good fun. It's really good fun. And long may Lower Decks continue at its current level of quality, because right now it's just good fun. Lower Decks and Strange New Worlds are 2 Star Trek shows I can thoroughly tell you at the moment I am enjoying.
Okay, I mean, before we're out of the Star Trek corner,
Prodigy.
There is one. There we go.
There we go.
Neither of us have watched it.
I watched the pilot. It was fine. I think
I also watched the pilot.
I heard Chakotay shows up.
Fine. I've also heard Chakotay.
I heard they do an episode actually where like they end up in like a training simulator on the bridge of the Enterprise D with like Uhura and Data.
There's a bunch of archive footage of actors and stuff like that.
Yeah, and like Renee Augerbenois there as Odo, that I think that he actually did the voice lines for. I think that I could be wrong there. That's
I
awkward.
don't think so, because he died a few years ago.
I know he died a few years... No, he did die. I thought he died like last year, sorry. Sometimes because they record stuff way in advance. Yeah, no, that would have been archive stuff. Because I knew that I think Nichelle Nichols has some voice lines in it, but I know she didn't record anything. Right, okay, yeah, probably didn't. But I haven't watched that episode yet, but I'm like, that seems fun. It seems good. I know they brought Robert Beltran back for actual new Chakotay dialogue.
Yeah, I think, based on what I've heard, like the ship that they find, Chakotay was the captain of that ship or something.
Well, I could find out one day by actually watching the show.
I could. The pilot was fine, it didn't grab me.
Yeah, I thought this pilot showed potential, but not really enough for me to keep going, but I think I probably should keep going, so I'll try. See when I finish Discovery? Because season 5 for Discovery's due out later.
Yep. You know what I still miss on Star Trek in general?
Yeah.
And just TV? Full seasons. I miss full seasons.
Oh, you don't like short 10-episode seasons?
I mean, I get that with a shorter season you can have a bigger budget and all this. I understand why TV is trended that way, but I don't know. It's nice to have a TV show you can really sink your teeth into, you know?
I get that, and I think maybe for binging I get it. Like, I'm doing a rewatch. I paused it to watch the X-Men, and then to binge Game of Thrones again, because House of the Dragon's out. But I was doing a rewatch of House, And I remember I got to like episode 22 of season 2, and I was like, my god, how are we only in season 2? Because I've just been conditioned to like be on season 4 by that point, you know? And I tell you what, I'm enjoying the show, but my god, it's a fucking mountain. Bleep that. It's just so much. It's just...
Since when do we bleep swears on this show?
No, actually, I thought that would just be a comedic bleep. And it's just, I love you, Gregory House. I love you, Hugh Laurie, but let me clip through your show a bit quicker. Like I say, in the time it took me to stop House on a rewatch when I was only in season 3, I was able to go through 8 seasons of Game of Thrones in like 3 weeks.
Alright, enough of this TV nonsense, because it's Morbin Time, Nathan.
Oh, Morbin, oh Christ. Why? Is it not? We're just speaking about House of the Dragon, that's a Matt Smith project.
That's not done yet, and I've not even seen I've only seen frames of it. I've also not watched Morbius, and I have no intention of doing so. I just think the story around it is funny.
You want to know something?
Uh-huh.
Morbius is fine. This will shock you, right? I think it's firmly in the same league as Venom. It's just a remake of the first Venom without Tom Hardy. There's some like tweaks to it, but had the first Venom not existed, like I think if you were to describe Venom 1 to someone, to describe it, it would sound a lot like Morbius. It's like there's some differences to the fact where the villain and the protagonist had like a friendship when they were younger, which isn't in the first Venom. But this people are making fun of Morbius like it was the awful. And people seem to disagree with me on this, but I think if you like Venom and the Tom Hardy incarnation, there's no reason why people shouldn't like Morbius. And I mean that quite sincerely, because I should note, I think the first 2 Venom movies are on par with each other. People seem to not like Venom 2. I agree that it's not as good as Venom 1, but I also don't think it's in a different league than Venom 1. I think the Venom movies are just good as is. They're fine, they're not great. And I think that Morbius is good but not great, but like not a disastrous train wreck that people seem to pretend that it is. I think the internet really hyped this film up to being awful.
I don't know, from most of what I've heard of it, most people just describe it as pretty boring and not really worth getting emotional about.
That's how I feel about Venom.
I more thought it was funny that obviously after it came out, it was not a box office smash. I think it's safe to say.
It was not a box office smash.
But it became a meme sensation on Twitter.
It did become a meme sensation.
Morbin Time took over the world for a while.
The new MCU.
Yep. And so Sony Pictures decided to cash in on their meme trend, and they re-released the films to box office.
Yeah, they did. And I think it made less than $1 million. Like, they really thought that the meme had, like, inspired people to want to watch it, and they were wrong.
They were obviously wrong, and I think that's fascinating.
I liked seeing the video skit that they done of Jared Leto reading a script for Morbius 2, and he, like, hides it. Like, they really played into it. They were like, this is it. This is what we've saved this. And I remember Matt Smith was in an interview, and they were asking him, if you could rather do a Morbius 2 or come back as Doctor Who, what would you rather do? And he kind of didn't mean it, but within, like, before the question was even finished, he said Doctor Who. And he was there to promote Morbius 2. That was what he was there to do. And he was like, Doctor Who. I mean, he was like, yeah, I mean, Jared's great, and I would love to do another one if I got the opportunity, but Doctor Who's the greatest job in the world. And I'm like, you're a really good ambassador for Doctor Who, but that's not why you're saying this.
Morb.
It's watch Morbius, kids. Like, I mean, I wouldn't recommend it to be. The post-credit scene is the most egregious thing in it, to be honest, with the shoehorn in Michael Keaton, and like, there's no.
Yes, I've heard. I've heard that's really weird and confusing.
Anything with Michael Keaton in this film is the most egregious part of this film. Like, that stuff's bad. That stuff, I will tell you, is bad. but the rest of the stuff
Well,
doesn't try and play into...
There's like a whole bunch, like half of the trailers aren't in the movies.
Oh yeah, that's also true. I'm not really talking about the marketing as such. That's a whole different discussion. But apart from anything to do with Michael Keaton in the Morbius movie, the film's just I think it's fine. As long as it doesn't play into the MCU in any way, it's fine.
Okay, so morbing on from that point. I don't know if either of us have actually seen this one, but it's another interesting thing to talk about, at least. Another Fantastic Beasts film came out this year.
Another Deadpool. We're going there. Right, okay. What was it called? The Secrets of Dumbledore?
Secrets of Dumbledore, yes, a terrible name.
Yeah.
Full disclosure, I've only watched the first Fantastic Beasts film. Everything I heard about the second, I was like, I'll skip it. And that's how I feel about the third one as well.
So I think the first Fantastic Beasts movie is a fairly solid film, but it's like not a franchise. It's like a Star Wars story.
Yeah, it's okay. It's not brilliant, but it's a fine watch.
Yeah, it's a fine watch. I think it's a firm anthology in the universe. And then they tried to bring the concept of a magical zookeeper fighting fascism into like a franchise, and it just didn't work. And I knew it wasn't going to work. There's a reason that kind of people think that The Crimes of Grindelwald, the second film, is like quite long and drawn out, and I think it is quite long, but I think it's because it really tries to prioritise the world building. It tries to introduce all these characters that Newt Scamander associates with to make it maybe seem more feasible that a zookeeper would get into this fight.
Yeah, I mean, they're trying to make Harry Potter into their MCU, so...
Yeah, well, they need to. I understand why they're trying, by the way. And I think that, I actually don't mind The Crimes of Grindelwald. I think it's a bit bloated. I think it's very bloated. But if you can see through the trees to the thing they're trying to do, like, you need to be I'm a big fan of the Harry Potter universe, though, so there was a lot in it for me. But I guess if you're just a moviegoer, you may be like, what is this mess? And then, obviously, Johnny Depp has been recast in the third one. That is now Mads Mikkelsen, who, honestly, does a really good job as Grindelwald. Arguably, if he was cast from the offset, I probably never would have thought of Johnny Depp as ever being somebody who could feasibly play this role.
Mads Mikkelsen is great.
So yeah, Mads Mikkelsen does he does a great job in the film. I do kind of miss Johnny Depp because I think that he put more kind of, how to say it, sort of tragic lover into it, I guess. Like he feels like somebody who just quote poetry a lot, you know. Whereas Mads Mikkelsen...
Hang on. Are you saying Grindelwald and Dumbledore are like gay?
No, I would never make that insinuation. No. The film certainly don't. No, I'm kidding. The third one actually kind of leans into it quite heavily. But Mads Mikkelsen kind of goes for lost lover, but also 1930s Hitler. Mm-hmm. And I think Johnny Depp more kind of went for like modern age neo-Nazi. Which... Right,
okay.
Like, because I've seen... Mads Mikkelsen spoke about it in interviews, and he's like, I never wanted to try and follow Johnny. That's like, if you're trying to imitate the actor who done it superbly beforehand, it's a losing battle. He spoke openly about how Johnny Depp's legal troubles are sort of over, and Mads Mikkelsen would be fine if, for the next one, they were to just go back to Johnny Depp. He says he loves his time on it, but he ultimately doesn't... He hated having to step on Johnny's shoes. And I can see where he's coming from. I also think he might be saying that because he didn't enjoy his time on the film. Because the film's a bit boring. I think probably... I like the first one for an anthology. I like the second one for the world building. And the third one was... They tried to lean... Anything to do with a bloody zookeeper. Like, I don't care. I doth my cap. He's just a bit boring, Newt Scamander.
We're supposed to be getting 2 more of these, right?
We're supposed to be, but I'll tell you what, not a syllable has been uttered about the Wizarding World since the third one came out, and there's been a lot of Warner Brothers troubles going on at the minute with things like Batgirl and The Flash.
There is one other Harry Potter world thing that I did want to briefly mention, which is we've had lots more news about the open world Harry Potter RPG.
Ah, yes.
Coming out.
Yes.
And speaking personally here, I'm annoyed at myself for being interested in this game.
I'm not. I love Harry. I've already linked my Pottermore account to my Warner Brothers game account so that my Pottermore house sorting quiz results get implemented into the game without me having to sort myself in game.
I get that, but there's two things here. Like, obviously, J.K. Rowling, not a great lady, says some bad things.
She needs to stay off Twitter.
Second thing, one of the lead designers on that game is a famous Gamergator guy, so that's great.
Ah.
Thirdly, there's some weird anti-Semitic shit with the goblins going on in that game.
There's like the main bit. What, isn't that just baked into the goblins in that universe?
Well, yes, it is, which is a problem.
Like, I would be lying if I said I hadn't been made aware, and after being made aware, I can see all the things, like the one black guy, it was called Kingsley Shacklebolt, you know, like the goblins, Jewish stereotypes and whatnot. I think people are annoyed because his Harry Potter's love interest, the Chinese individual, was called Cho Chang.
Yep.
I am aware of these things. I'm not going to try and defend them, but my love of that world and universe is such that I love spending time at Hogwarts, and I've been to Harry Potter World down in Watford. I got the Elder Wand sitting next to me on a metal plinth for it. I like the universe, and as much as I can acknowledge some of the troubling aspects in it, I just thoroughly enjoy the characters in the world, and I'm going to play the new Hogwarts Legacy game, or whatever it is called.
Well, that's why I'm saying, like, despite all of the issues and controversy around it, I also am still interested because I like open world RPGs. Okay, staying on topic of magic, I didn't mean to link all of these so thoroughly, but it's happening so far.
Okay.
Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange in the multiverse of mediocre.
That says all. Let's move on.
Yeah. I could, like, listen, I tell you what, I think they know that they kind of stumbled on Doctor Strange, and I think that they will not make that mistake for Secret Wars, because that's also a multiverse encounter film, and this is the Multiverse Saga. That'll be the climax. I expect come Avengers Secret Wars, they will give us everything.
Here's the thing, right? Doctor Strange. I thought it was pretty mediocre when I watched it the first time. I've only watched it once. But as I look back on it in retrospect, there are things I like about it. I think visually the film looks really good.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the most interesting films visually in the MCU, frankly.
I think that's true about the first Doctor Strange as well.
There's silly moments that I just love in retrospect, like when Doctor Strange is having a music note fight with himself.
That was very camp. That was Sam Raimi
really
all
camp,
over.
and it was very Sam Raimi, but that's why I loved it.
I thought it was an interesting thing to start the fight, but then see when the fight kept going and they kept using the musical notes, I was like, alright, we're doing this. So, okay, whatever. That kind of took me by surprise. The
film was sold as like the first MC horror movie, which it's not.
They said the same thing about the first Doctor Strange, also.
Yeah, which it's slightly more horror movie than the first Doctor Strange, I guess, because Scarlet Witch does some spooky things, but...
Yeah.
Scarlet Witch, great in the film. I know it's kind of like drastic her change from WandaVision into Mad Evil Witch.
Yeah.
But once you get over that, she's pretty great in the film, so...
She is pretty great in the film. I think that Elizabeth Olsen does a wonderful job with that character. Love that character. I think that from what we hear, this film was getting reshot, like, the same year it came out. Like, really up to the line. Edits were massive, there was a lot of cuts, a lot of things were put in and taken out. Some things were last minute additions. Yeah,
I've heard there was, like, a bunch of characters who were supposed to be in the Illuminati who just got cut.
Yeah, I hear maybe Captain Carter wasn't always the plan. She was like what if was good.
There's a couple characters in that lineup who don't really make sense. Captain Carter is one of them, because, like, I I know, like, real Peggy Carter is a spy who ran S.H.I.E.L.D. But Captain Carter is a more Captain America type figure, and they just seem less Illuminati-like. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. And the other one is Monica Rambeau is Captain Marvel. What's she doing on that council?
Well, listen, I'll say this, right? In that universe where presumably there are no Avengers, and the Illuminati are the Avengers de facto, I think what we, as the people that do all the YouTube readings and all that, are thinking, and have read the comics, is the Illuminati is something above the Avengers in terms of like what they do. But in this universe, I think they are just a rebranded Avengers. And, you know, if Steve Rogers existed in this world and he was Captain America, I can see Steve Rogers sitting on the Illuminati Council. Like, so I don't really have a problem with Captain Carter being there. On the same level, because it's just supposed to be rebranded Avengers, I can also see Monica Rambeau being there. I can see Reed Richards being there. The only person I actually can't see being there, if it's just supposed to be another Avengers, is Patrick Stewart. Because in that fight with Thanos, when they're killing their version of Doctor Strange, he just looks silly.
He sat there in his little chair.
Like, he wasn't going to do it. Like, I guess he could stop Thanos with his mind powers, I guess. But like, if Thanos gets one good lick in on him, he's dead. He's just a dude.
And that's why I kind of think, like, looking back, the original version of that was supposed to be more traditional Illuminati, where it's these sort of like, because in the comics it's like the smartest people in the MCU all come together to like run world events, and kind of the point is they're all kind of assholes. Like Tony Stark, kind of an asshole. Professor Xavier, kind of an asshole. Reed Richards, definitely kind of an asshole. And they all think they know what's best for the world. Kind of like Age of Ultron, where Iron Man's like, well, I'll build a suit of armor around the world and all this.
That'd have been a good Illuminati, but they just kind of went for a rebranded Avengers. That's ultimately what they went for. And I think that also, that's why I think Secret Wars is going to be a really good multiverse encounter story, because I think maybe they'll be like, right, okay, we didn't give you what you wanted in Doctor Strange. We have a couple of years to build up to it. We'll get everyone.
Beyond all that, though, like watching Wanda murder them all instantly, great stuff.
Great stuff.
She turns John Krasinski into ribbons.
Yeah,
so we never have to see him as
spaghetti Play-Doh.
Mr. Fantastic again.
Yeah.
Oh, you saw that tweet from John Krasinski, right?
Wait, is this our movie? I think he is actually doing a film with Ryan Reynolds at some point, by the way.
Yeah, he is. It's just a terrible bit of cross-promotion.
Yeah, it's good fun. It gets everyone hyped up. Also, I still don't write him off as the MCU's Reed Richards, by the way, I should say.
I hope he isn't. I don't think he was very good.
I don't think we've seen enough of him yet, because I think that this role was drastically nothing. I think anyone could have played any of those characters and it wouldn't have made much of a difference.
I just don't buy him as a nerdy scientist. He doesn't look like a nerdy scientist to me.
I think he looks the part. The beard's nice. I won't quibble over it. I don't really care who plays Reed Richards at the moment. I was never really a big John Krasinski for Reed Richards mover, because that was a fan cast that they've played into.
I think for me the biggest problem with Multiverse of Madness, and the reason it didn't work for me, is they just didn't do enough with America Chavez to make her, like, because she's supposed to be like the emotional focal point of the film. Yeah. And it just never really clicked for me.
You know what this film does quite a good job of? I watched it once in the cinema, and then I watched it once on a plane. It's a very good plane watch. Watch it on a plane. It's fantastic. Because I'll tell you what else I watched on a plane. This is an older movie, but I watched Tenet on a plane. Mm-hmm. And Tenet is such a great film that rips your mind apart. And watching it on a shitty little screen on a plane is such a disappointment. And it's not even as visually stunning as Doctor Strange, but you're engaged with it more than you are with Doctor Strange. And then watching this visual feast that is Doctor Strange on a plane, I'm like, I'm fine with this. Seems about right.
Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Mediocre. We should have ended it there. You were right. You were right on the money.
Yeah.
Still got a few. Top Gun, haven't watched it. Heard it was good.
Second best film of the year. Maybe the best film of the year. Fantastic. Love Top Gun 2. Top Gun Maverick, fantastic. 10 out of 10. Everyone should watch it.
The Boys, everyone loves it. I'm not going to watch it.
Love The Boys. Might be a bit much for Kyle when he's sensitive mind. The Boys is great though. Everyone watch The Boys.
Jurassic World Dominion, that was a film that came out.
Don't bother.
Lightyear.
Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Mediocre.
The Joker 2 is a musical starring Lady Gaga.
I am so excited, Kyle. You have no idea.
I think that's a fun idea.
I think it's going to be really fun. I'm really looking forward to it.
HBO Discovery merger killed a bunch of DC properties, including the finished Batgirl movie.
That could have been a whole episode in itself. They filmed it in Glasgow. I saw some of it being shot. I saw a bunch of stuff.
You got an insider scoop.
An insider scoop that it held up traffic in my city for 2 weeks. An insider scoop that I couldn't walk down certain streets to go to restaurants because I had to take diversion routes because they were filming a fucking film that didn't even get made. Sorry.
Well, they got made. It just didn't get released.
Yeah, no. Apparently it was deep in post production. Like, if they had to like, if they were told like release it today or never release it, they wouldn't have been able to release what they had.
I'm sure. Like effects and stuff still need to be finished and all that.
I heard Brendan Fraser talk about it, and he was like, "I'm sure it's a business decision. Like, I'm not going to get involved." But Leslie Grace was 10 out of 10 as Batgirl. People had also said how like this film was definitely a made for streaming scale movie, but they thought the people in charge were like, this is just going to tarnish the brand. Apparently it wasn't great, and they didn't want to spend the money necessary to level it up to be good enough for like the big screen, though they're still making Blue Beetle. So
yeah, and there's a bunch of other stuff that's been caught in this whole HBO stuff. There's a bunch of like animated stuff that's just totally disappeared off all of their platforms. Yeah, just gone forever. Yeah. There was that amazing graphic that got leaked where it was on one side like HBO male-oriented content, Discovery female-oriented content. That was some great stuff. Yeah,
I mean, there's big rumours right now that HBO Max is disappearing soon. Like, lots of things are disappearing from HBO Max. Live action projects also. Things are just... The library is getting Spartan. And people think that they're getting ready to shut that service down and merge it with Discovery. Which,
fair enough. They've got two services competing with each other. They may as well merge them.
Yeah, they may as well. One company.
Okay, moving on. Moon Knight.
It was good. It was solid. I think
it was okay.
I think that the Disney Plus MCU projects fucking swing around in quality like a carousel.
They really do. My problem with most of them, and I'm just going to apply this to all of them, including Ms. Marvel, the ones we didn't talk about, like Hawkeye and Loki, and we did talk about Falcon Winter Soldier, actually. We made a full hour episode out of that show somehow.
God.
But so many of the shows feel like they should just be a movie, and they've just been stretched out, and there's a bunch of filler.
Well, Armor Wars. Armor Wars
yes.
Getting promoted.
It is. Okay, so Midnight, fine. Oscar Isaac, great.
Loved him as Apocalypse.
Good stuff. Kenobi.
The multiverse of mediocre.
Strong agree. I know people who love that show, and I'm like, I don't see what you're seeing. It was totally fine Star Wars stuff.
I liked seeing the Fortress Inquisitorius. The fight at the end between Kenobi and Vader was alright. It was good. Whatever.
They recreated the meme where Obi-Wan put his hands out and threw a bunch of rocks. Have you seen that meme where it's like a piece of artwork of like what should have happened in A New Hope, and it's old Obi-Wan with his hands out with stretch of the Force with like a million blasters behind him.
I have
stormtroopers.
I have seen that. See, had Rebels not cut half of Vader's mask off first, this would have been much more impactful. I still liked it because it was Hayden Christensen. Like I'll say it, I liked it.
But he cut off the other side from Ahsoka, so it's very symbolic.
Ahsoka could get one half, Obi-Wan could get one half, only Luke could take it all off. Yeah,
it's visual symbolism.
Fuck off. Take it somewhere else.
Yeah, and last note on that, all of the controversy around Reva was nonsense. So
all the controversy around what? Sorry,
Reva.
Oh, Reva. Sorry, I forgot she existed. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I think she should have died in that fight with Vader. By the way, I was amazed that she walked in.
I can't believe how many people get stabbed through the gut in this show and live. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Miss Marvel. I liked it until I didn't. I think it really fell off towards the end.
I think that the villain aspects of it was really weak, and I thought the effects were kind of bland, but I liked all the character stuff. I thought the dialogue was probably the strongest it's been in any Marvel show. I think probably the best balance of any of the Marvel shows so far has been WandaVision, but I think that they went all in on the dialogue and the character interactions in Miss Marvel, and I think it pretty much all paid off with some of it.
I would agree. My main issue with it is it feels like they took what was the plot of season 2 and shoved it into the second half of season 1. And when they spent 2 episodes in what's the city they go to? I can't remember. But they go overseas and they do a bunch of nonsense that has no relevance, and they ditch like half of the cast of the show for 2 episodes, and it's really weird.
Yeah. It's because I think they feel the need to teach people about partition. Because I thought the partition stuff was interesting. But
it would have been great fleshed out into a full season of the show.
It would have been, but also like I knew everything already because I'm not an American high schooler. It was just like, yes, this is I suppose an important learning moment for casual Disney Plus people.
Sure, yeah. But the main thing that got me as well is the editing of the first episode is so great and so snappy, and it has all these great visuals. Like there's the scene where they're walking along
with the art on the wall,
and what they're talking about is happening on the wall behind them. And there's a point where they're sending texts, and the texts are like the signs on the side of the building.
Yeah,
all this amazing stuff, and then by the end of the show, they just stopped doing it because I guess they ran out of money to do it.
Yeah.
And that's really disappointing because the first episode of Miss Marvel is honestly one of the strongest episodes of any of the Disney Plus shows, I think, and then the show never lives up to it again.
Well, we got the Marvels coming soon, and she'll be there, so...
Yeah, I guess, and I am looking forward to seeing her. I'm way more interested to see her than Captain Marvel, frankly, but...
Same. You know what? For Brie Larson? She is one of the main characters in this season of Fortnite.
Wow. Amazing.
They got Dwayne Johnson, then they got Brie Larson.
Have they been in something before? Surely. I don't care. Okay, we've got just a couple more things on the list for the last 2 here. So Thor, Love and Thunder. Multiverse of Mediocre, as far as I'm concerned.
I enjoyed it when I saw it. As time starts to simmer, because I remember Kate coming out of it being like, I thoroughly enjoyed it, that was a really good movie. As I simmer on it, I think it is a bit shaky. Something I have always acknowledged though is it was 2 different movies splashed together.
Yeah, there's the Mighty Thor stuff, and then there's the gore stuff.
Yeah, the Jane Foster cancer storyline and the Gore the God Butcher are 2, even in the comics, they're 2 different stories. And for some reason, in the executive side of things, they were like, we need this to be the one. We can't do both these stories separately, though. They're not Marvel enough. Yeah,
and I think either of those individually would have been a stronger movie.
I agree.
And yeah, I have plenty of criticisms of that film. I've kind of done the opposite of you, which is I came out of that film massively disappointed, and as I've simmered on it, I'm like, okay, it was fine.
I mean, you have met in the middle somewhere.
Yeah, we've met in the middle. Christian Bale, he was good, he was underutilised.
Yes, he was in a different film.
He's in a different film, and I think the film doesn't communicate the God Butcherness strong enough. He's more Gore the Child Kidnapper.
Yeah. He's the child catcher from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
I think Natalie Portman was good. I don't know why people hate her. She's a good actor.
Neither do I. I think she does a solid role in most things.
And yeah, I think Korg should have died. Okay.
It's the same.
Last thing on my list, because it just happened recently. I don't know if I have much to talk about, but D23 happened. That was the thing that happened recently.
Yes.
We got some announcements. Got some Daredevil stuff. She-Hulk is currently happening, but that's still happening, so we're not going to talk about it here.
So far, I have nothing to say about it.
I love it, but Nathan doesn't like it, so we're probably not going to do it.
Wait. Who says it doesn't like it? Where have you got that opinion from?
I mean, you said you had nothing to say about it, so...
I have nothing to say about it, because if I didn't like it, I'd have a lot to say about it.
Look, the fact is, it's a sitcom, and it's not going to make for a very interesting podcast, because we're not going to bitch and moan about how it's woke and all this, so we don't have anything to talk about.
Kyle, what do you mean it's a sitcom? We can't talk about it. Have you not heard my 10-season long-running podcast on Friends?
You go through every episode individually?
Just to break it down really meticulously. It's a one-man show, yeah.
What's this? Your podcast is called The One Where They?
The One Where They, yeah. Very good. Okay, we're giving me ideas. So yeah, She-Hulk's Daredevil showing up. He's not showed up yet at time of recording.
No.
Tell you what I'm loving, Andor. Andor's great. Kyle's not watched it yet.
I've not watched it yet.
And Andor it's a good time. And big time rush, because this show's supposed to be structured in 3 episode blocks, and they dropped the first 3 episodes together, which was frankly a good decision. I think had people came away with 1 episode of Andor at the start, they would have been like, what is happening? This is boring. And then I was like, oh crap, for episode 4, they're just releasing episode 4, and if these are supposed to work in 3 episode blocks, this is going to be weird. Tell you what, actually, wasn't bad. But I think that's because I'm caught in the stride of the show now. It definitely still has the problem, though, where each episode doesn't have a 3-act structure. They just sort of put the credits in where they think the 3-act structure for the 3 episodes would be to make a runtime, which is not great. But the episode up until the credits is always quite good. Just the credits just take the wind out of your sails.
Yep, I haven't watched it yet. We might do a podcast about that one when it's concluded.
I hope so.
I'll put a soft book in for that now, although I think I said that at the end of her Book of Boba Fett about Star Trek, and we'll see how that turned out. Other D23, they announced, showed a trailer for Mando Season 3. Looks pretty good.
Looks pretty good.
They teased an image of Ahsoka where Sabine is standing. They cast Ezra, so that's fun. They showed a trailer for Tales of the Jedi, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
It looks it looks good because it's Clone Wars animation style, but it looks fine in terms of content.
Looking forward to it. We got more. They showed a trailer, not at D23, but previously, but after our last recording, they showed a trailer for The Bad Batch Season 2.
They did, so it looks pretty good.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing some Agent Cody.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that was a weak one to end on. I shouldn't have ended on D23, but it was the last thing that came up on my list, so...
I'm racking my brains for something we can finish on that's on a high note. Modern Warfare 2 beta was pretty good.